In managing our finances, we certainly need to consider how to best maximize our income. If you look at the slide here, you'll see that from the year 2008, towards the end of that year, this graph represents the U.S. household debt versus personal savings. As you can see, our personal savings rate has plummeted from 12% down to maybe 1%, while the U.S. household debt has increased from 1% to 133%. That's a quite frightening statistic. So what ways do you help your clients or encourage your clients to maximize their savings goals? Do you use emotional encouragement, such as how it will feel when your client reaches their goal, or visualization, what it will look like when they have acquired $1,000 or bought that new car or bought that new home? What about some tactical programs, ways and means to actually realize those goals? Let's look at some of those now. One of the main ones is the Federal Earned Income Tax Credits, or EITC. This is a refundable federal income tax credit to low and moderate income families. Families' size and their actual total income will determine the EITC amount that will be adjusted by inflation. But most importantly, it's critical to know whether or not the client is actually failing to claim their EITC. The IRS estimates that 20 to 25% of those who would be qualified don't actually file and miss out on thousands of dollars available to them. So the federal and state child tax credits, that's one of the first ways we can help our clients maximize their income. There's also Medicaid, which is public health insurance for low-income adults and children. The Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, that allows children who are eligible for a federally funded program also administered at the state level. And keep in mind, states design their own programs. Medicare, public health insurance for people 65 or older. Child care subsidy, which is administered also at the state level, is given to families to help them to further their work or their education, knowing that their children are taken care of. Low-Income Energy Assistance Program, or LEAP, this actually varies by state, and it is financial assistance offered to low-income individuals in the form of checks that are made out to their energy suppliers. Public Housing and Housing Choice Vouchers, Section 8. This assists low-income families, elderly, and disabled with affordable housing. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, formerly known as our Federal Food Stamp Program, helps folks to purchase food. The Women, Infants, and Children, also known as WIC, provides nutritional foods, nutritional education, and referrals to health and other social services at no charge. And of course, Social Security, which is one of the largest public assistance programs, and that was created in 1935 to help eligible workers when they retire or become disabled. Now, unemployment assistance is available through regular benefits as well as emergency compensation available through the federal government, and we'll look at a little bit more about how that works in just a moment. But typically what we see is regular benefits are provided for 26 weeks. But just because they are doesn't mean that some states won't offer less than 26 weeks. So each state can be a little different. Keep in mind the following circumstances may disqualify you from collecting unemployment benefits. If you are fired, if you quit, if you resign because of an illness, if you left to get married, if you left to start your own business, so you're self-employed now, if you're involved in a labor dispute or you're attending school, these reasons may prohibit you from actually collecting those benefits. Now, we talked about the emergency unemployment compensation, and this is where you would get additional, or your client would get additional benefits if they've used up all their state benefits. And there's 4 tiers. The first tier offers you 14 weeks. The second tier offers 14 weeks if your state unemployment is higher than 6%. The tier 9 weeks if the state unemployment is 7% or higher. And tier 4 is 10 weeks if the state unemployment is 9% or higher. So essentially then, for the year 2013, what we see is a client could actually have 73 weeks of benefits, and that's calculated by the 26 weeks, which typically they should have unless their state offers less. And then the 4 tiers here, which equate to about 47 weeks for a total of 73 weeks. Again, that's if the worker or your client has been qualified. And finally, we also have what's known now as the HTA index, because we're taking into consideration the transportation costs to our clients. So previously what we've seen is, as this first equation shows, the little house equals 30% of our gross income. So that's the existing, or has been the existing benchmark, that we'd like to see that your housing costs no more than 30% of your gross income. But we realize that depending on the housing market you live in, transportation costs can be very high. So the updated expanded view takes into consideration not only your housing, but the transportation costs. And those two together should not be more than 45% of the gross income. You might find it interesting to turn to the HTA calculator on the internet, which is at www.locationaffordability.info/TCC.ASPX. You can also find that on page 15 in your manual. I think it would be a great thing to turn to see what is the HTA index factor where you live.